Hello there. I have some cozy fall farmhouse DIYs that I can't wait to share with you. I'm Whitney Lucas with Crafty Thoughts Whatnots, and let's jump into our craft room. So, first DIY here, we're going to start out with these Amazon purchase that I fell in love with. It actually says it's like large wooden cow's ear tag or something. It's supposed to look like little tags that they put on them dairy cows or, less fortunate cows that become our steaks. But anyways, I liked it because it was a cute shape, and I was like, oh, that is very farmhouse, isn't it? But also kind of just looks like a little mini cutting board. So I got those off Amazon. There's a link in my Amazon store below should you want to take a peek at it. Get a small commission, helps me out. So just take a peek at that if you want to get the same ones that are in my Amazon shop. Then I also have a crate here from Dollar Tree. Everybody knows these crates. So what I'm going to do is first, before we paint or do anything to them, I'm going to glue these two together because we're going to make a little container out of it. So I'm using some Titebond wood glue and just some hot glue for an immediate short-term, long-term, blah, blah, blah hold. You know, all that good stuff. And now we are going to color. So I'm going to add my new favorite, walnut. It's called a wood tint from Folk Art Home Decor. It is a wood tint. It is not a wax. And it is such a pretty color. I love this. I'm obsessed with it. And I have this beautiful brand new little, although it doesn't look, I got it off Amazon also. So they're also linked in my shop. I love the color. Now, while it's wet here, it's still a really pretty wood grain. But once it dries, it is just this oddly comforting, lightish, darkish, brownish, grayish happiness, yum, yum, joy thing, whatever, insert happy words here that make you happy. This color makes me happy. Now, again, I'm still addicted to my Waverly wax, but again, it's a wax. So this one's not a wax, and we need to be able to glue to it. So I'm going to use a new mold from IOD. It's called Hello Pumpkin, which, who wouldn't want to love a pumpkin, right? So links in my description at miltonsdaughter.com. This is where I get all my IOD, DIY paints. I get some good, really pretty decoupage papers. Lori is an awesome human being. Take a look at my description. There's a discount code. Should it apply to anything, you will find out in your cart. There's also an incentive program for repeat business with her. So take a look. This mold is gorgeous. Look at it. Now, I want to use the really big pumpkin. I really do, because if you know me, if you've been here for a while, like most of you have, I kind of have a thing for pumpkins. It's not a sickness. It's just a condition, and I've accepted it. So I don't need help. So we're going to make air dry clay mold out of this beautiful little mold here. So this is IOD air dry clay. Now this one here that I'm unwrapping, this is stuff I've had for probably about a couple years now, and keeping it in a baby wipe and keeping it wet in a Ziploc bag. It's gotten a little stiff on me, but it is perfectly a-okay. If you've seen my last few videos, you'll see I'm working on the same little bundle of clay there I've had for a couple years. So again, if you have a new clay is much more malleable, very soft, not as frustrating, but this stuff still holds its shape and holds its malleability. Is that a word? You know what I'm trying to say, right? I just made some stuff up and it keeps its push aroundedness. Insert word here again. So I'm going to definitely take the smaller pumpkin, and then I'm going to make I have to have this leaf also next to it. Now, I used a little bit too much cornstarch here. You saw me dusting the mold up at first. I used a little bit too much, probably actually a lot of it too much cornstarch, but I'll show you after I put it on our piece here, how we'll fix it. Because this is just because I wanted these things to release easier. I had to push really super hard because, again, my clay is a little bit dry from having it for so long. But that's just a testament to the clay itself. Should you buy the air dry clay, the IOD brand air dry clay, it has a shelf life. I've kept it in that Ziploc in my craft room for, I want to say, well over a year, probably almost a year and a half, 2 years. I can't remember when I bought it, but yes, I've had it for a while. Now, this other package you see here top left, that's a brand new package. So I'll be dipping into that pretty soon. So I've got all the pieces out here, and I added too much cornstarch again, just as I wanted to get them to release. And you'll see here, look at the details on this. Now, and this is also with too much cornstarch. Now, that tiny leaf there, you can see the cornstarch on it because it looks a little fuzzy. And I'll show you after I apply it to the front of our little piece here, how we're going to get rid of that. Now, this clay is not dry. I just pulled it off the molds. I just put it on a new piece of cardboard so you could see a cleaner sheet and a cleaner work surface here. So after our stain has dried, or our wood tint is dried, we're ready to apply our pretty little pieces here. I'm going to use Titebond Quick and Thick. It's a multi-surface glue. It's not necessarily a wood glue, but I do love the Titebond wood glue. That would work too. And this is me. I'm just going to arrange these things wherever they make me happy. Now, this is my first little setup here. Now, I don't get it down the exact position, but I'm still very happy with it. And I'm just trying to clean up the edges is all I'm doing here. And there's little, fussy work that you kind of later on see that doesn't really matter, Whitney, because we add all kinds of beautiful accoutrement to her. And so I've just put the glue on the back, and then I kind of spread it out with my fingers so I get an even coverage on the whole piece. That little stem on that leaf there is a bit delicate, and I really needed to make sure it was on there because I like the fact that it touches the stem of the pumpkin, so it looks like it's one piece. So some of these little delicate parts, be careful. Now those smaller leaves, they had stems also, but I didn't worry about trying to get those out of the mold. I didn't even fill them in on that part. I just got the leaves there. So I made 2 of those smaller leaves, spreading out our glue, applying them down. And now this is, I just have a regular, this is kind of a finer bristled paintbrush I just took out of my little stash of paintbrushes. And again, the clay is not dry. I am just kind of using the bristles of the paintbrush to get all that extra. You saw how you could see the powdery stuff. I'm getting all that extra cornstarch off of the mold itself. And the more of the details came through on those little leaves now. They don't look so fuzzy. They don't look like they've been, through the dryer lint trap for like a week. Now I'm going to take the same wood tint and color our pieces. Now I did not know how this would work because it's a wood tint and I'm putting it on clay. It worked great. It worked great. I wanted it to be the same color as our back piece. Now again, it's wood tint, so some of the wood behind it got tinted a little darker, but the way we apply some more, this is just a first step. Trust me, this is just a first step. I wanted to make sure that I got the piece all covered in. So I'm using the same paintbrush there and I'm getting in all the nooks and crannies. Now you're going to see some white pieces here and there. That is a-okay. And of course there's a little crack here because our piece had dried overnight. This is the next day. I let the wood tint sit because I didn't know what would happen with it. Some of it does come off, but that's because we're going to add like 5 layers of goodness and happiness and joy. So I'm going to use Debbie's Design Diary DIY White Wax. This is a beautiful, beautiful product. It is like butter. It is so creamy and so easy to put on. Now, what I should have done is I should have used clear wax first, but I didn't because I'm bad. So what this does is it takes the wood tint color to a different level. It changes the entire color. I love everything that happened here. My original plan was to only get the white in the highlights of the creases of all the details of these pieces. But because of how it turned out, I ended up I had to put the white wax all over all of it because of how, you'll see here. I'm putting it on and I'm realizing right now that I should have put the clear wax on. You put clear wax on first, you're able to coat your entire project. And then if you're going to do a colored wax second, you are then able to control and disperse that colored wax into the areas and into the, to get the desired effect, to get what you're trying to get at. What I wanted to get at is right here. You see me removing it with a baby wipe because I want to get the darker brown to show through on these details. And I kind of maybe went a little bit too hard on these baby wipes on the actual molds because some of the actual tint, the wood tint came off, so the coloring came off. So here I want it to look a little I'm trying to get it to look dusty and old. So here I apply it to the entire piece on the front, and I'm going to take the baby wipe, smooth off some of the top edges and the ridges of it. And you can see at the bottom of the pumpkin there, the wood tint came off. So that's the color of the clay popping through. I still think it works for me. Still makes me happy. And then I'm just like, okay, Whitney, we're going to have to do the rest of this. I didn't solidly cover the crate. These are pieces, and this is also details, depending on what you could put in your crate if you should, decide to duplicate this, or you can put anything in here. I put flowers in it, of course, because it's in my nature. Flowers, ribbons, puppies and kittens, oh my. And so I'm just taking my baby wipe and I'm lightening the larger surface areas to make it look more dusty and weathered. I'm still trying to get that desired effect, and I think it turned out pretty dang close. It's not exactly what I was thinking because of the process. I didn't do it correctly, but I still like how it turned out. And I again dispersed that wax in different areas. I did heavier in one corner. I didn't cover everything solidly, and then just use a baby wipe or paper towel to rub that in. Now we're going to prep our container to put some flowers in there. So I've got some 6-inch wide burlap that I've purchased at Michael's many years ago because I have 50 million and 2.5 rolls of this. I used to use it on my Christmas tree for many years, so I literally have so much that you will probably see this for many years to come. And I think I still have like 10 more rolls of it somewhere. I at least know I have 4 in my craft room that I can see from where I sit. So anyways, I cut this long enough, so what I want to do is I'm hiding the bottom so you don't see the styrofoam through the crate. So I cut these pieces, I measured enough to get it to go one way, and I need to double it up, so I'm putting one piece in. I also frayed the edges because should you see it, which by the time we're done with all this you don't, but you never know if I decide to not go overboard with flowers. Hasn't happened yet, but this is the desired effect. I want to hide the bottom, and then I realized you can't see the styrofoam from the top or the back really. But in any event, I've covered all my bases. I'm gluing the styrofoam into the bottom after I glued in our burlap. And so it's not technically permanent. You could pull this out, no detriment to what's inside. You could still put something in here. You could put candy, you could put pens, you could put all kinds of goodies in there. And so, of course, Spanish moss is my new best friend. And now we're going to take an assortment of flowers. These little bundle here is from Michael's. This is a collection of Dollar Tree goodies. And then this little stem here is a red lamb's ear that I got off of Amazon last year. And again, that's listed in my shop. I do not know if it's available. It probably goes in and out of availability, but Amazon store always has something. So I'm going to try to make the red lamb's ear kind of like the focal, and then I'm just kind of messing around with the colors and the stuff I grabbed. A lot of muted tones, a lot of fall coming through in this because we have wonderful little punky on the front. We have to make it look pretty. So I'm going to definitely use these Dollar Tree ones as filler. A lot of times I would say that I wasn't really a fan of the Dollar Tree florals, but I have to backtrack on that a little bit. Recently, within the last year or so, they've been stepping up their game, but they're also really good to layer in with things. So if you might think that something might be a lower quality and not as good, use it as a filler, use it as a backdrop, and then put your more expensive florals on the top. Your investment pieces, maybe you bought a couple bundles from Hobby Lobby. You could put those and make those the focal point, and then surround them with some lesser expensive, but still equally as pretty pieces from Dollar Tree. Now, again, I'm very picky and choosy when I go there because if it falls apart in my hands, I won't purchase it. And if it's covered in glitter and my eye starts twitching, it doesn't come home with me. There is an exception to that, yes, and you will see later on in this video, I have something with glitter, but I keep it wrapped up, and then I literally attack it with water and adhesive remover. So again, even my own advice, I go against it. And then this here, these little cute guys, these are called flocking balls. And I got those last year also. So cute. I haven't actually been to a Dollar Tree yet this year to see any of the fall goodies. Actually, that's not true. I think I went in August or July. Last time I told you guys I went. And they had their fall stuff out. So I got those cute little rolling pins that I need to make something out of. But again, most of this stuff is last year. So this is just me throwing in a bunch of florals. So it's pretty from all edges. And of course, I'm not done yet. You could finish and move on with your life and just look at this, but I have to add ribbon. So the little top of this tag here, we're going to use some baker's twine from Dollar Tree, and then those other 2 ribbons there I got at Hobby Lobby for their fall stuff probably a year or 2 ago. This ribbon here is, I think it's like a faux velvet. It's so pretty. So the easiest way I've started doing these is I'm just going to put some glue on. So I'm going to make an awareness ribbon shape, and then I'm going to add a dot of glue, then it doesn't come apart. So here we go, awareness ribbon, dot that, so you have the cross, and then pull your piece down in the middle, put a dot of glue there. And do you see how easy those little cross sections are? You're going to see me do that again in this video. I'm very, very happy that I don't have to hold these things and then have them move around. Now I'm going to layer my bows on top of each other. And then I just took a couple I literally just bundled that baker's twine in my hand. Now I'm taking another piece and I'm wrapping it around the middle so it looks like the bundled up bow itself. So again, very easy bow. You don't have to hold it. There's no pinching. There's no falling apart. And then you just tie a knot at the back for the middle that you wrapped it around the inside of the hole on that little tag. I couldn't be happier with that. The flowers themselves, I didn't use any glue on the flowers, so I can change them out. Because remember, in my house, pumpkins are year round. And I know for most people that doesn't happen, but for me, you come over here, I mean, I have a tattoo. I love pumpkins. If you're new here, pumpkins are my life. My name is Whitney. I'm addicted to pumpkins. It is not a problem. It's just a way of life. So again, this right here, this little piece is going to be out in my house probably year round, actually guaranteed year round. And I can change out the flowers should I choose to. So tell me what you think of this. see this as a centerpiece or more like a little shelf sitter. Shelf sitter, not too high because I want to be able to see the details and then all the florals in the back of it, but I love how it turned out. Again, I wasn't planning on the wax turning out that way, but again, that DIY white wax is something to experience. So take a look and let me know if you try it out. Now, our next DIY, this is a baking pan that I got at Michael's on clearance from ages ago, probably 2 or 3 years ago. So it's regularly a $10 pan, I guess. I got it for $5. I don't know that I'd be okay spending $5 on it, but this is a good thickness. It has a good weight to it. So I may have paid $5, but more than likely I probably got it on another discount off of the clearance because I am a discount goblin. I look for discounts. I look for clearance markdowns and coupons and all that. Now, because it's a nonstick pan, hot glue isn't going to work. Now, hot glue will help me temporarily, but it will pop off. So I'm going the E6000 route, and over the course of however many days it takes for that stuff to actually cure, it will be doing its job while the hot glue is holding it down, and I can move on with my work on the arrangement, and it makes me happy. So I put this in there. I let it sit for a while I was doing some other projects. It's pretty solid. This is probably maybe a couple hours. And so I'm going to continue working on this girl here. We're going to add some ribbon around the outside. Now, I got this, again, this is a Celebrate It, so that's a Michael's ribbon. Just go into your stash and look for a pretty ribbon. This is 2.5 inches wide, and it worked out perfectly. Now, I'm putting hot glue on the outside. Again, this is just for the purposes of holding the ribbon in place while I add another twine. I'm going to add a twine around the outside, and that's going to be my main focus on keeping this on our pan. Because, again, that hot glue probably is not a permanent type deal should it be, handled a lot. So this is just to tack it there and keep it there while I'm working on it. Now I glued the ribbon to itself right there, so that's pretty good. But to keep this, to keep the main event in one piece, I'm taking this twine here, I'm wrapping it around the outside, I'm gluing it in one piece. Now I'm going to kind of adjust it with my fingers to make her look pretty. And where I put the seam at in the back, I am going to just add a nice little bow here. So I wrap this in my fingers, and then I'm just going to cinch it in the middle and tie another piece around the middle to make like a little bundled bow here. And I'm going to glue that to the front where I put the seams at. So it looks seamless around the rest of it, and our bow technically should cover and take your eye away from the seam. The amount of glue, of cuteness that goes inside of it, you're not going to pay attention to say, oh my gosh, the seam is on the front. How could you? I mean, you wore white after Labor Day. What were you thinking? Oh, no, please no. Say it isn't so. Well, it's so. Yeah, that's right. I put the front where the seam is because that's how I do it. I cover that up. Now, the inside is going to be pumpkins and just a little bit of greenery. This eucalyptus is from Dollar Tree. I love it. When I see it, I buy all of it in the colors that they have that I like. And I am telling you, I will buy all of it. So this is just a little green eucalyptus bush. I clipped 2 of them apart and stuck them all in there. And now this is a combination of the Dollar Tree mini pumpkins that I got last year that you can see in the bag there. They were on boards. And then this year they came in little bags. So I've got a good combination of the two. And I'm going to take these skewers. These are like shish kebabs or skewers for like you get in the kitchen area. And I'm turning all of our pumpkins into little picks. They have little clips on them. So I took all the little clips off. This one, the stem came out. So I had to perform a little bit of pumpkin surgery. Put that back together. And then now I am adding these pumpkins to the skewers and putting the skewers in our cute little, well, I guess it's now a flower arrangement pot, plant baking holder piece of, again, the creativity. Find cute words, make sentence, call this that. That is what makes me happy. Now, when I got to a certain point, I was noticing there's some gaps between the pumpkins. I didn't want to put any more flowers in it. So I used this floral moss here I got at Dollar Tree. This is messy moss. This is messier than Spanish moss. But for what I want to do to it, I'm going to use it to cover up the base of each pumpkin, and that's going to fill in the empty spaces between the pumpkins because I'm making the arrangement out of these cute little mini pumpkins. So as I stack them here, you can see that moss covers the fact that you can see in between the pumpkins and you don't see the skewer. So this was my fix on getting the arrangement to look more full without having to add flowers, because the flowers are going to cover up the pumpkins, and I wanted this to be a beautiful little pile of pumpkins. It's a beautiful little pile of pumpkins. Say that 5 times real fast. It's adorable, and I loved every second while I was making it too, because it's okay, well now I need to layer more and layer more, and the options they had, again, this is between my stash and then what I bought this year. Apparently I bought a bunch of orange. I don't mind orange. Orange is one of my good colors. My house is mainly creams and greens and browns. So different colors, again, oranges and whites and all that. They all go together. It goes great. And again, it's a classic color for fall. Now I'm going to take this, I believe that's Tim Holtz Distress ink. That doesn't matter. I just took some ink because I have these little mini pumpkins I got at Dollar Tree, and I'm going to use them as filler in between some of the bigger spots. And it's not because I needed the filler for space. I just wanted the variety in here. I only put 3 of these little pumpkins in, but they looked a little bit too plasticky to me. So I'm just adding, you see, it's a subtle difference. And honestly, it's on such a tiny pumpkin that I don't know that it even matters, but it does to me. I can see it, and I'm making this for myself. So this makes me hippie. So that's what I did. Remember, you don't have to do this for anybody but yourself. So if it makes you smile, then you're doing the right thing. So again, now I'm just rubbing the pumpkin on the ink because again, I'm like dab, 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 dab. This is taking too long. Then it's coming off on my fingers because I'm not letting the ink dry. So I put these in, and then I just started, after I glued them into the arrangement, then I started to take the ink and put it on the pumpkins while it was in there because again, my left hand, my 2 fingers, sorry about my mic. Ooh. On my left hand, my 2 fingers are brown. So now then I started adding it to the cream pumpkins. I was like, oh, this adds a little bit of dimension on these guys too. So see, it made a little bit, looks a little dirty. Looks like it's been pulled out of the patch. Isn't that great? It's like I made a pumpkins that look like they're covered in dirt. It's great. I love how it turned out. You guys tell me what you think. I just loved a little tiny pile of pumpkins that makes you happy. And again, most of the stuff is fall based, but again, you can do anything you want. You could use Halloween ribbon and put black pumpkins in here with bats and spiders and all kinds of stuff. So it'll apply to a lot of different things. Let me know how you feel. Now here's where I was talking about the glitter. So you see me like not wanting to touch it. There's glitter. Be careful. Careful, careful. And you see that I had it wrapped up tight, like something you're ashamed of. And that's glitter because once I touch it, it doesn't go away. Someone had described glitter as just, never mind. It's a bad joke. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it on the channel, but it's funny. Anyways, moving on. These stickers didn't want to come off. So this is me I'm taking all the stems out because we're going to make a pumpkin out of these 3 pumpkins. We're going to layer them like this, basically. So what I need to do is I'm going to paint the fronts of these because I couldn't get those stickers off. I don't remember what side I ended up using. So I just sprayed water on here, and I'm using a spackle knife, and I'm scratching all that glitter off. Now the water is keeping the glitter from flying everywhere. So yeah, there is still glitter in places, but as soon as you spray water on it, it doesn't fly up in the air. It doesn't get many places. Now look what the water did. I couldn't get the paper off, and this is dry. Believe it or not, these are dry. And that one, that sticker just isn't, it's just not happening. That's its new home or its old home, and it's not moving. So we're going to paint these all a brown color. This is Folk Art Home Decor chalk paint in the color Java. So I'm giving them all a very good solid coat, probably maybe about 1.5, 2 coats. I didn't literally let it thoroughly dry. Literally let it thoroughly dry. See all those big words? That's right. And yes, I think those are big words. I just wanted to make sure that the colors of these, the base colors of these weren't popping through because we are going to wet distress some DIY paints. The DIY paints are a wonderful paint. They're highly pigmented. They are very, very good. You need very little coats, but they're also clay based. So when you wet distress, meaning if you don't seal it, you can get water. Right here, I'm using the color beadboard. This is my little bucket of the DIY paint and beadboard. Again, miltonsdaughter.com for all these products. They work wonderful. So after the brown paint is dry, now that is a chalk paint that has a sealer in it. That's a normal chalk paint. So once it's dry, that's not going to come off with water. But the DIY paints, because they're clay-based, will come off with water. They reactivate. They get wet again. So even sealers can reactivate them too. So we will wet distress, and I'll show you how that's going to look once we're done here. I put the solid coats on the back pieces, and then the middle piece here, I'll show you in a second. I did the edges. Now the backs we're going to cover with some brown paint, so don't worry about that. But make sure that you have your holes where the stems used to be. Those are now the bottom because we want to hide that. Now see here, the back piece doesn't show. I just painted the back on the top and the bottom because there's a tiny little bit that peeks out so you can see brown should you look at the back of it. So now we're taking our 2 back pieces that we're going to make the back of our pumpkin, and I'm going to use the Portobello Road stamp set from IOD. Also, again, miltonsdaughter.com. It's a wonderful place. I can't speak highly enough of it. And I'm going to use these. These have such cute... This is a set that the IOD sisters made for like making these cute little houses I saw on their website and on their YouTube channel. But I'm going to use this little brick wall here for the background. And I love how it turned out. One of them is a little crooked, but I think it adds character. And then I'm going with this gray ink. It's very subtle at certain angles, and the camera, in my opinion, doesn't pick it up well enough, but it adds a perfect pigment for a subtle background. It's not going to scream at you, look at me, I'm here. It's going to give you, again, a subtle background so you can add more stuff to it and won't feel busy. Now I do that to both sides. One on the left side, one on the right side, because again, we're putting another piece in the middle, and I'll show you again, we're going to layer another stamp on top of this. And again, that Portobello Road stamp set you're going to see a lot because it has so many options. There's a cute little laundry line with like old-fashioned like bloomers and knickers on. It's so cute. It's so cute. Now this one here, we're going to use a different set, and this is my Distressed Archival ink. I'm using a lighter brown color because I want it to show over top of the gray. And so I'm using this really large angel because on the side of it, I really like the scrolling and the filigree to this. So I'm going to show you in a second the impact. So I'm taking the middle piece just to see where it sits. I'm going to ink up my stamp, and I'm going to put it on the one side. And remember, you don't have to use these things as they're intended. Just if you like a piece of it, I'm using the very back end piece of this to get this on this side. Look how pretty that is. I love that. Again, you have a subtle brick wall behind it, and then you have the softness of the brown, like florally little lingerie thing. And again, that was all I'm going to use for that one. And now I'm going to take some smaller pieces, and we're going to do something different on the opposite side. So you get all these options, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. You know, if you had this, you just endlessly pick little pieces that make you happy and apply this to anything. This is still good for spring. This is good for summer. This is good for like if you have a kitchen set that you want to make like a plate or something, and you want to do some Italian type stuff, or you want to do old world, or it's just, you know, I would apply these things even in instances where people wouldn't think that they belong. I would use them. So now we've got our ink done. And now this is the wet distressing. Now this is a baby wipe, but you could also just use a wet washcloth or rag. And do you see how I'm activating the paint just enough to pull off so you can see that brown Java paint underneath? Now, I also did the solid coat of the Java paint in order to get a reassurance that those colors on the back won't pop through. So use your own judgment discretion. Now I'm rubbing in the middle right here pretty hard because I want to take that piece off so it'll show on the front. But other than that, I'm only wet distressing the edges and the sides so you can see that brown paint popping through. Because again, this is all going to go together. Again, there are so many steps to this pumpkin. By the time I was done with it, I was like, wow, Whitney, you really did a lot for one pumpkin. Is this too much? Probably, but for me, I had fun. I like doing it. That's all it's about. You get lost in your craft, and you're doing a good job. So here's our middle piece. And again, I'm only doing the edges on this because we're going to decoupage on this pretty girl. Look at this beautiful decoupage paper. Also, once again, miltonsdaughter.com. So beautiful. And again, she's got many options on her website. Go take a peek. This fall one I purchased not that long ago. There's definitely still available on her site. There's actually a link in the description to this exact paper should you want to pick it out and look at it. I'll put that in my description also. And then we're going to use Liquid Patina by DIY also. This is my new favorite decoupage medium. I've had absolutely no problems with it. And you'll see here I just do like a little strip at the top to get the piece down and stuck. And then I use what's still on my brush to tap on the front of it, and then I put the rest of it down. I have no wrinkles. I have no issues. This is fairly easy at this one too. This is like a beginner piece. It's a flat surface. It's got perfect edges on it. It's not going to be that difficult. I put a coat on the outside, and we're going to let her dry. While that's drying, I'm going to cover the backs of our two back pieces. And I'm going to use some AdTech Permanent Bond Glue Runner. This is a scrapbooking product that I've used many years. I'm using this instead of hot glue because the hot glue usually shows a little bit too much, and sometimes it's not very hot glue doesn't stick around the edges like I want, and the edges start to peel. This stuff, you're not getting it up. So once it touches paper, you better hope that that's where it needs to be, otherwise you're ripping the paper off. So I cut that out, and that's just craft paper or shipping paper. I got that roll at the Dollar Tree and like their school supply, and and those office supply area. Then I take my finger sander or a nail file or something rough up the edges in a downward motion away from it. And you get a really nice edge to all the pieces on the back, and you got a good finished look. Now we're going to attach these two girls together. So I'm going to use my Titebond Quick and Thick for a very long-term hold. This isn't wood anymore. And honestly, I don't even know if there's wood underneath it. It's probably some sort of mixture of whatever Dollar Tree gets their stuff from. And so I put those two glues together. I'm clamping it. While that's being clamped, I'm going to pick up my now dry decoupage little paper center, and I'm going to do the same thing as I did to the backs, but this is with the decoupage rust paper, and just go in downward motion away from you, and you get the cleanest edge. It's a very beautiful clean edge. Now, I did not let this sit long enough, but it's okay. We have no problems. It kind of separated a little bit, but again, the Titebond on those the two back pieces wasn't completely set, but the hot glue was supposed to do its job. Now right there when I'm putting it together, you can kind of see that I kind of pulled it apart. So in order to fix this for a longer term, I'm going to use some this is actually craft tape. This looks really professional as far as it looks like you would see this on the back of paintings. And it's a very strong tape. So I'm putting this on the back of this here, and that's my solve. Again, I've went back to this project a couple days later. It is solid. It's not coming apart. You could also do popsicle sticks and glue if you want to. I prefer a very clean, almost retail quality backs, finishing pieces to the backs. You can't always get that. Sure, I understand, but I'll do my best to try. So this is our finished girl, and we are going to add a wood stem to it. So I have this bag of wood stems that I finally found at Dollar Tree after 17,000 years of looking for it. I actually audibly screamed in joy when I saw it at the store. Yes, people looked at me. Here's another option I have in my stash. These are just wood stems I bought from Amazon. Those got me by until I found the ones I got at Dollar Tree. And then here's actual pumpkin stems from like the cute little gourds you get at the grocery store. And then some sticks from my front yard. And so I'm like, this one right here I'm saving for, I don't know. It has to speak to me, but whenever I make out of it, it will be mine and I will keep it. So I'm using these pumpkin stems from my old gourds, trying to find the one that looks right on this. And I'm going to add a decent amount of stuff to the top of it. So I kind of want a longer stem. So this one is our girl. We're going to pick her. She will be attached. Now, before we do that, we have some DIY paints. We also have a decoupage paper back there. So we want to seal all of this. That DIY paint has to be sealed. But again, we don't want to put this wax. I'm going to use clear wax first because I did things correctly on this project. Clear wax first, except for in this area here, because we want to be able to glue our stem in. So I'm covering the entire project in clear wax. Everything that has DIY paint needs to be sealed, or it could reactivate. There's our clear wax. We're done with that. Now, here's the back of it for some reason. Take a peek. Look how pretty it is. Sometimes I do that for myself so I could look at it later. And now we're going to use a beautiful alternative. This is not black wax, and I'm like looking here because on the white wax it actually says white wax on the top. Like, yeah, you guys look here. Look, it's wax. No, on the bottom, boom, dark wax. So this is not the black. This is the dark. So this is a very grungy, aged, antique-y look. And I'm going very sparingly with it at first because I didn't know how much of it I wanted to put on. Now I put enough on. The camera doesn't pick up much of it. All of the elements that we've already done, the stamping, the distressing, the paint coloring, it all still shows, and this dark wax is highlighting it, and it's giving me the feels I was looking for. So it might be just a little bit too subtle for the camera here, but just trust me, in person, she's so pretty. And then again, take a look at that back. Gotta check out the back for some reason. Kept showing the camera the back of the project. Now, I want to add some tendrils to this before we put that stem on. So this is some covered, I believe it's coiled wire. Hold on, I'll show you in a second. Yes, this is coiled wire. I got, Ashland is a Michaels brand. So I got this in the floral department at Michaels. This is a pretty thick wire. If you got some hand grip issues, might not be good, but which I do. I've had carpal tunnel surgeries many years ago. So every once in a while I have some issues, but I didn't have too much of a problem. But it's just a very thicker gauge wire. But I liked it because it's covered in this natural type of, barkish, woody kind of cardboardy covering coating. I don't know what it is, but it made me happy. So I'm adding 2 tendrils to this, one on one side, one on the other. I'm taking the natural coil from the actual bundle. It comes out already circled like that, and I kind of just bend it a little bit to my will, make it pretty. And I got one coil coming down the front, which I love. And now we're going to add our stem. So this is basically just apply with copious amounts of hot glue. Again, because we don't have wax here in the center top part of this, but we are wanting this to be solid. Now, this is after we're dry. We got our glue, we got our tendrils. We are becoming very, very happy. We were happy before all this, but the stem makes it a pumpkin now. So here again, my favorite. Again, I can't say that I don't like it anymore. I don't like the mess, but I love the way it makes things look. So Spanish moss will be my go-to. I use it almost, I mean, every video I've made, you guys, I'm pretty sure there's been Spanish moss in it. Very few, maybe a wreath video didn't, but again, I use this stuff on so much stuff. Now, I'm putting a decent amount to just cover the top, and that's not what we're doing. We're not going to add florals. I'm not putting leaves. This is it, except for, of course, I have to make a bow. And again, I love this olivey green color, very fall, very pretty. I got this, both of these are Dollar Tree. I got that, the green stuff was from Christmas last year. So here I'm going to show you again. They've got an awareness ribbon shape, and I'm going to put a dot of glue on the first part of the tail, and then put those two tails together. So you definitely have that awareness ribbon shape to your bow, and we're going to bring the top down to the middle. So you bring the top down flat, and then you bring your little now newly created X, and you have a bow that you do not have to hold together. And we're going to cinch it in the middle. We're going to tie it and gather it like you would a regular bow. And at first I was going to do this. So here, oh, this is a little piece. No, stay tuned. This DIY is on its way. I use this to wrap this around things because I wanted it to be a smaller size. And if I tried to do that with my fingers, I would have wrapped my fingers together and never got them off. So I usually find things on my table that I want to use that is a good width or thickness for what I'm trying to get, or what I'm trying to achieve. So then I just doubled that around, or I just wrapped that around probably maybe 6 or 7 times, placing that in the middle of my bow, and then I'm taking another piece of baker's twine and wrapping that around the center of both ribbons, and I'm tying it real tight so you get that good little bow cinch in the middle. And these are very easy bows to make, and it's so effective because look how cute it is. You get that perfect little bow shape, and it will never come undone. You could tug on that. With discretion. Use proper judgment. You know what I'm saying? If you get like a sledgehammer, yes, it's going to come off. But if you just tug on it, it's not going anywhere. It's not coming undone. I love it. I hate when you grab a bow by accident and you untie it, because then I will never get it tied right the same, right again, if you know what I mean. So I love how she turned out. Tell me what you think. And there were so many steps here. You could probably omit 1 or 2, but here's just at least some inspiration to help you if you want to try to do the same thing. And again, if you can't find those little shapes from Dollar Tree, just pick any kind of shape you want. You can even just use blocks or wood rounds. All right. Now our last DIY for this video is, I was hesitant because it seems a little too cutesy, but again, how can you have something that's too cutesy? It's pumpkins. So she's included here too. This is just one of the wood rounds you get at Dollar Tree. Now this is a little thin, and it had some little, I don't know, pieces of probably glue or something on there. So I'm just kind of cleaning it up with my sander, because we're going to use, again, my favorite wood tent in the color walnut from Folk Art Home Decor. This wood tent, you guys, even when you're putting it on, you can just tell how pretty it is. It's almost like a ashy, it's got like an ashy gray to it as well. Like then you get that darker burnt brown. It's just a different, like the antique wax is a warmer brown, and this, I want to say it's colder. It's just a more ashy gray color, and I love it. It's speaking to me. Like I get those little, crafty decorating butterflies when I see it. I love it. So also don't forget to do your edges. So I want to stick this in here. These edges were popping through after I let it dry. So now that it's dry, we have a nicer color here. You see that's a little bit lighter. There's a scratch on that, so that becomes the back. That's our back, yeah. We'll flip it over. And look how pretty it is. Just hang it up like that. There you go. What is it? It's a circle. Welcome to my circle. Now, we're going to add these pretty little girls here. This is also from Amazon. These are like it's for teachers, like bulletin boards. So they're made out of a somewhat thicker, cardboardy, papery, like cardstock type of deal. And you get, I believe, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I couldn't count. I was going too fast. I chose these 5. because I want to go for a fall feel. And if you want to rewind, I just dated myself. Go ahead and rewind this. Go back and you can see how many there are. There's some good options for Halloween too. But I chose these 5 girls here because I think they're cute, and I'm going to apply them to our wood round with hot glue. Again, it's a coated paper. It's got a nice shiny coating to the top of it. It's like not laminated, but it's just a good thick cardstock, and they're super pretty. And I was a little worried because they're papery that it would look a little cheap when we're done. It doesn't. It's so cute. It's so cute and again, this is an indoor project now because this is paper. So if it gets wet, I don't know how it's going to weather. Now we're going to add a giant bow to cover up some more space because we're going to turn this into like a little makeshift wreath. So enter in my 6-inch wide burlap that I have copious amounts of that I mentioned before. And we are going to put just a decent sized bow. So what I did was I made a loop that's the size I want, found the center. I'm going to pull that up. So now I have the doubled amount I want. So once we make our little circle out of this, when you cinch it in the middle, you have equal loops on either side. I hope that made sense. If it doesn't, you can at least try to follow what I did here, because a lot of times my crafting chaos doesn't make sense to anybody but me. But hopefully you see what I did here. And it makes the perfect little classic bow shape. Like you'd see this on the back of a dress or an apron. That's so pretty. Look how cute it is. Again, this is just Dollar Tree jute twine here, and I'm wrapping it around the middle more than a few times, and then tying a knot on the back so that you have just a cute little gathered center on this bow. And look, that's a perfect little bow. You could stop there. I would do that if it was a different color. Now, this large bundle of raffia I've had for a long time, I'm going to chop a piece off of it here, and we're going to... I wrap this 3 or 4 different ways. At first, I made it too small, then I made it too big. So what I did was I grabbed this picture frame that, again, I'm grabbing things off my table. I used some Scotch tape to bundle it together on either end so that the raffia didn't go well, because raffia is kind of like a crazy, like messy, pretty look. And I wanted this to be crazy messy, but still tightly wound and uniform. So what I did here was I wrapped it around there, and that's a really good shape, but it's the same size as my bow. So I wanted the burlap on top. What I had to do was I just rewound it in my hands, and I made them as big. It's almost like the motion that I was doing. That's how I wrap up electrical cords in my garage, like extension cords and cords for like, power tools and things like that. I do that in my hand, or I wrap it around my hand and my elbow. If anybody knows what I'm talking about, that's what I do with the raffia, because I needed this bow to be very wide and very fluffy and over the top, because I want it to show behind our burlap bow. So you see me here gluing this down. I put like 3 dollops of glue. Don't forget to put the hanger back on. The hanger I didn't add anything to because we don't want that to be the focus. The focus is going to be our wreath. And now I'm going to add our burlap back on top just to make sure that I have, enough of the raffia showing through, and then I'll kind of fluff it and fuss with it on either side. And now here we're going to add a little bit more, just a little bit more. This is a harvest pick I got at Walmart probably too many years ago that it's sort of embarrassing, but you know me, so it's not embarrassing. And now this here is one of the best things. This is a garland from Hobby Lobby. And I buy the garland when it's on sale, and I literally part it out and use it. And I got that tip from Tracy. And it's just a great idea. So it's a good thing to do. Now, guess who's back? Our Spanish moss. This is going to be covering a lot of our stuff here, and it adds the perfect little warmth and farmhouse and almost country feel to it. I'm sorry. Tracy was Country Charm by Tracy. She does a lot of hand painting, gorgeous stuff. Take a look at her. She's the one I got the tip from for that Hobby Lobby garland. It is a lifesaver. You can really part that whole garland out, and it adds so much to so many projects. I've used it in a lot of different holidays and different seasons. Now, I tucked in Spanish moss into our little creases there in the bow as well, and then on the top and the bottom, just to cover enough. Now we're going to take these pumpkins here. Now, I cut a lot out, but I spent a lot of time messing with these pumpkins to find out the placement, to the point where I'm like, I'm going to give up, come back to it, move over here, do that. Where do I want to put them? I think I had probably maybe 30 some minutes total of messing with these things, going back and forth, trying to find an arrangement that made me happy, that didn't look weird, without either wasting one or having to cut apart another one. I said, okay, let me give up on this. I'm going to add these little berries into it. So I cut them in half. At first, you'll see me cut them out more. And I put one on either side behind the burlap. So I glued it into the raffia on both sides. And then it's like, okay, what? No, I definitely want this pumpkin here. Now I'll go back. Let's go back to the berries real quick. And I glue the other one on the other side. Yep. I'm committing this pumpkin is going here. This is its new home. She is so cute and she is so happy and I love her. Now the other two, still not liking it. They're bigger. I don't know. Now, I didn't like the uniformity of having 3 berry stems on one side and 3 berry stems on the other. So I cut one off on either stem and I kind of more or less balanced it to where there's more on the left side of the bow than the right. Kind of offsets the fact that I put that pumpkin on the right side. This is my thinking. Probably a little bit too much into it. But then right here, it came to me. I'm going to put these 2 pumpkins right here. One kind of leaning up on each other. We're going to glue this girl down and we'll glue this one at a diagonal leaning up against the next one. And guess what we're going to put in there to cover up the holes and the glue and the behind the scenes. Yeah, you're right. How did you guess? More Spanish moss. I can't help it. If you have a better filler or a better idea or even an option that you think would be better, share it with me. Share it with everybody down in the comments. I love to see that. It's my go-to and I love it. And for every project, it looks a little different, but this is so pretty. It's so cute. Makes me happy. Sheds it a little bit, even after that. I try to tap everything off as soon as I'm done with it. I try to get everything connected to glue, and then you'll see tap, tap, tap. I'm just trying to get all the little pieces to fall out onto the craft table before. But even with a little bit of a trim there, it adds the perfect amount of fuzzy, perfect amount of farmhouse. It's so cute. So tell me what you think. Here she is hanging up on this is a wreath hanger, which was too long, so I have the cord kind of wrapped around the top of the hanger, you'll see there. But with those little they're bulletin board pumpkin cutouts. The whimsy cuteness, the little, it's almost like a comical, cartoony drawing of them. I love every single one of them. They make me happy. I don't think there's not a pumpkin I don't like. I even like the little warty gourd looking ones that have like all the little bumps all over them. Everybody needs love, including warty pumpkins. Anyways, that's it today, guys. So I quite a few. I think I had 5 projects here, so this is a little bit of a long video. So thank you for sticking with me if you've been here this long. Do you have a favorite? Is there something you would do? Do you have any experiences or any tips or tricks or anything you want to say or any ideas or suggestions for future videos? Anything you want to see? Place it down below in my comments and I will read them and hopefully I can respond. I try to respond to every single person as long as it is, until I get so big that I'm just so popular and famous that I just can't do it. She said so humbly. She dusts her shoulder off. Yeah, right. No, I do. I follow my videos, especially when they first come out, religiously until I can hopefully at least respond to everybody and read all of the comments. I'm not at the point where I'm, so busy and so overwhelmed with responses. So, I'm popular, but not that popular. That's it, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I have a Ko-fi page, so if you've learned anything or you feel you want to donate, this is where you can do it. There's a link in my description. It's always appreciated, never required. And with all that said, I love you more than I can possibly say in words. Many hugs, happy crafting, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye for now.